Today, I welcome you as we honor Gus from Gus and Yaya. Gus Kalaris, better known for serving up ice balls and popcorn, will always be a Northside legend. Gus and his parents started Gus and Yaya's Cart in 1934, and in 1951, Gus took over the business. Now, Pittsburghers knew it was summer when Gus brought his ice cart out to West Ohio Street, where we are today. This event is going to be for us to recognize Gus and all that he meant to the North Side. And I can tell you, as a person who's not originally from Pittsburgh, one of the first things when I came to study, everyone told me, you have to taste the crushed ice from Gus. And it reminded me of home because the crushed ice here in the islands, we call it snow cone, you know? And to have that little touch of home here in Pittsburgh settled a teenage girl far from home without any family here. And that's, for me, is my memory of Gus. First, to speak about him is his lovely daughter, Chris Avalon.
I want to thank everybody for coming today. It's been a real, John, my dad just loved Pittsburgh. Not only did he love Pittsburgh, he loved the North Side. The North Side was his home. I don't know if any of you know this, but he was born up on Taylor Avenue in Odell Robinson's funeral home, before it was Odell Robinson's funeral home. And he lived up on Sandusky Street. And after that, he moved to Brighton Heights, and our families lived there all of my life. So we've been there over 65 years up there. He loved the people. He loved everything about what went on here. He was into everybody's life. I used to say to him, Daddy, come on, we have business. And he'd say, oh no, I'm talking. So he would stop, and then somebody would ask him something, about the history of the park. That was his love, to talk about the history, the people, how they all interacted. And this was very poignant the other evening when we had the viewing down at the church. A judge came and she walked up to me and she said to me, Chris, she says, I have something to tell you. And now don't take this wrong, she says, but your dad did more for race relations in this city than anybody. And I looked at her and I said, what do you mean by that? I didn't know how to take it at first. And she says, Chris, she said, every walk of life came to your dad. Poor, rich, educated, uneducated, children, older people that would come on their walkers like Lois. She would come and she would call him on the phone and say, are you out? And he'd see your number and he'd go, it's Lois, wait a minute. He'd say, Lois, I'm here today. So, I mean, everybody came, everybody sat here, everybody talked to one another. It was just it's a happy place. It's just a happy place for everybody to come. And we're hoping we're going to continue the tradition because we've been here 90 years. It was my grandfather that has started, this business. And he was poor. And my dad, he died when my dad was 18. My dad had to take care of my grandmother. So he took care of my grandmother. He continued the business. My sister and myself worked here now, and we have Michael Spanos, who has been an institution here with my dad for 25 years. We can't do it without Michael. We always say that, can't do it without Michael. And he has the patience of Job, let me tell you, something I don't have. But he's been wonderful with our family. And so we're hoping, and now I have recruited my husband to work here as well, Art. So it's a family thing. And we thank all the families that have supported us through the years. And thank you just so much for this honor for my father.
Thank you, Chris. As you said, your husband helps you a lot, and we would like to have a few words from Art now. I know he was trying to run away.
Wow, I wasn't expecting this. I don't know where to start. I met Gus about 18 years ago when I met Christina, and I'm from the southern part of the city across the river. Never heard of Gus and Yaya's. Sorry. And Chris has been trying to move me to the North Hills for quite a while. She has our burial plots there, so. What can you say about Gus? I mean, he was an amazing man. He loved people. He brought people together in a happy place to come here in a serene situation where they could either watch tennis, gather together. Didn't care how old or young you were. I was moved during the funeral parlor when a man came up to me. He was about 45 years old. He had his son with him. And he says, I just want to tell you something. See this coin? He says, he gave it to me when I was 3 years old, and I'm now going to give it to my son. So those are the kinds of moving things that you learned and to love him. You really do. And I'm proud to have been with him for 18 years. And just a special person. That's all I can say about him, really. And I think most of you have been touched by him. And I'm honored to be here. And we'll continue the business for as long as we can, we promise.
Art, for a person who didn't know what to say, you said it quite eloquently. Thank you. And his partner, Mike Spanos, if you can come forward and have a few words, please.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't know where to start like everybody else. First, thank you for everybody coming out today. Everybody showing their love and support for Gus and the cart over the years. I mean, we can't put into words how much we appreciate it. Some words about Gus. I mean, I've been here for a while now. Some of you know me. It's my 25th summer, like Gus's daughter, Chrissy, said. And man, put into words what Gus meant to me, just like everybody else. I mean, I lost my dad when I was younger, and Gus stepped up, and he was like a second father to me. And, you know, we can't say anything else. I mean, other than thank you. I thank Gus. I thank everybody else for coming out and showing the love and support over the years. And like Chrissy said, we're going to hopefully do our best to try to keep things running. We'll sit down in the wintertime and, you know, go over some stuff and see what we can do to keep the tradition going. Hopefully, maybe I can recruit my family and my kids into this and go from there. So thank you, everybody. Mayor, thank you for coming up. Mr. Wilson, everybody from the city, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. There's a lot of folks out here who we need to recognize who always supported Gus and believe in Gus and Gus's family. And that's Children's Museum, the National Aviary, Allegheny West Civic Council, Northside Chamber Conference, Northside Leadership Conference, Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy, Pittsburgh Mattress Factory, and so many more. But we just want to make sure we acknowledge these individuals. And talking about being a friend to Gus and having stories of Gus, this next individual's knew Gus for more than 60 years. And he's a representative from Allegheny Commons Initiative, and that's John Canning. John?
Thank you very much. It's an honor to say some wonderful words about experiences with Gus and with Stella and with Yaya. And you know, I go back a few decades from the time I was a kid going to the Y over here, sometime in the 1950s. And there was no lake at that time, it was just a pile of stuff. And but there was an ice ball stand, and it was part of our life as we waited for the streetcar to get back home from the Y. But when I was thinking of this, my one daughter said, "Dad, have you looked at the website that has been set up for Gus and Yaya?" And I'm kind of old school and not real good at going to websites, but fortunately, my wife led me to this website. And the website is filled with hundreds, someone said to me, thousands of comments that people have made about their experiences at this ice ball stand. And when I'm reading them, I was thinking of three really important experiences that I recall. One goes way back, maybe 40 years, when I had an uncle who also grew up here on the north side, and he was in his last days at St. John's Hospital dealing with a terminal illness. And he said to my aunt and to us, he said, "The only thing I want is an ice ball." And for about 4 days, we made sure that we did an ice ball run, and Gus was always there to make sure there was a lid on it, that it wouldn't melt, that it got back to my uncle. And that's the kind of man he was. And then I had an experience a few years back when my Oliver High School class had their 50th reunion. And we did a little tour of Northside neighborhoods, and we came back to Gus's site. We have a great picture. My friend, colleague, fellow that I went all through school with that now lives in California, sent me this picture of our 57 class from Oliver High School all around this cart. And Gus, and they all had stories about how this cart had been part of their life growing up. And then the last thing that I recall was just not too long ago when we introduced our 4-year-old granddaughter Emma to ice balls. And of course, she went home with ice balls all over her pretty white dress. And it's just the way it was. All I can say is when I look at this group of people here, this represents to me Gus's role in this park. This park's very special to all of us Northsiders, and Gus was an integral part of this park. And as we've transformed the park, Gus was always supportive of those methods. You know, Gus was always here to support the park, but he also was always here for everyone, whether it was Mr. and Mrs. Rooney or whether it was a 4-year-old youngster that was in a preschool. Regardless of where they lived, they were central to Gus when they got to this spot and asked for their ice ball, and he made it to exactly the way they wanted it, whether it was rainbow or whether it was root beer or whether it was a combination, their favorite combination, whatever it might have been. And they were central. He was just so good at validating. You know, for the lack of a better way, I think he was Northside's Mr. Rogers, or Mr. Rogers was the city's Gus. It's hard to know because they were that kind of people. So it's an honor for me to share with you these stories about, well, a wonderful friend and a wonderful Northsider. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. And I was stopped and reminded by a woman, 87 years old, young, who told me that one of the things that she quite enjoyed with her father was coming to Gus as a little girl and getting those snowballs. I still call it snow cones, even though everyone on the north side calls it snowballs. I call it snow cones. But remembering the fact that so many people have memories of Gus here with their families and how many lives he touched. So no matter what, his spirit will always live on the north side. Now, let's go. Thanks. We're going to hear from a representative from Allegheny West Community Council, Elizabeth Barbush. Elizabeth? Elizabeth?
I had to go through the crowds of people because everyone is a best friend to Gus. He was the most popular guy I know because he just made sure that he got to know every single member of his community. He knew everybody's name. He knew where they lived. He knew what their favorite ice ball flavor was. So seriously, the most popular guy I know. And on behalf of Allegheny West, I don't have a ton to say, but I just wanted to say that he'll be greatly missed. He was an esteemed member of our community. I don't think he truly understood what his presence meant to us. For him to be a staple here on the north side, it was such an honor for us to have known him and to have grown up alongside him. And you know, I've known him all my life, and not only there were many summers where we went every single day to see Gus and just sit here and talk with him. And I even talked my nieces for their first ice ball. And you know, I'm sure that everybody here has a story like that about Gus. And if you were lucky enough to know Stella, she was a true gem as well. Just amazing people. We will not forget them. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Now, sometimes when you hear politicians meeting different individuals, you think it's just for political reasons. But I know this next individual, Councilman Bobby Wilson, truly enjoyed meeting and interacting with Gus, and would like to have a few words from him, please. Councilman Bobby Wilson.
How's everyone doing today? All right, so first off, I got a lot of slack saying that I outdressed the mayor, but I had the luxury of going to one event today, not several. You know, he does a great thing for our city of promoting everything that's happening out here. And our city's going to go to Picklesburgh next. And I get the luxury of doing all things north side. So, but I really appreciate you doing this, making sure that, you know, there's so much presence here to honor Gus. I was thinking about coming up here and saying some words, and there's just really so many stories that I have in terms of coming here. But really, you know, one thing that I haven't heard yet was the slogan that was always said, and it was, "Been on the north side since your dad was a lad." Did I get that right? Where's John Canning? He'll correct me if I get anything wrong here. And let's just have a little, you know, little moment of silence here where you hear is that the ice or is that the popcorn? Which one? That's the ice, right? I mean, they're still working. They're still working. This is where I learned how to wait in a line. Not be lost. You know, when we started grade school, I was just, you know, we were all just going everywhere, but there was always a line for Gus and Yaya's. And so it's just, it's also just an incredible moment up here to be talking about, you know, the memory of Gus and everything he did, and just to hear this in the background. So I think the acoustics are right on point. I have 3 kids. My youngest kid, his name's Isaac, and he goes to a daycare over here. And he's been telling us that he's going to go to Gus and Yaya's on a field trip for, I can't tell you how long. It's been the past 2 months, ever since the summer camp version started. And we had to literally call the director of the program just to make sure it was happening, because we knew just like how much it was going to mean to him, you know. And I just think the saying, you know, on the north side, since your dad was a lad, just makes so much sense. It makes so much sense to all of us. That, you know, when I was a kid, good. Your granddad was a lad. So appropriate. And it's just so appropriate because I remember as a child, my memory, I feel like my wife has such a better memory than me, because I feel like my memory goes back, you know, to when I was around 8. And right around that point, I remember the pigeons, the train and the ice ball stand. And you know, it's never gonna go away. And anyone that comes to Pittsburgh, you know, they're gonna miss the pigeons. You know, I mean, we have a love-hate relationship with the pigeons, but they're gonna miss those pigeons. But this ice ball stand will still be here. And that's what's just so incredible, that everyone still chipping in to make sure it happens. And
Pigeons are gone because the Hawks ate them.
the Hawks ate the pigeons.
That's why they're not here anymore.
I was wondering what happened to the pigeons. I mean, the health department must love it. You know, but that's really what I want to just leave here, is just how much those memories mean and how much summertime, you know, meant to Pittsburghers, that you could go and get that ice ball, that was like part of the summer experience. And that, you know, Gus was also larger than life. I remember when I first started running for city council, because I didn't win it first. So there was many times, but the first time I ran, I remember hearing that Gus was a voter and that Gus lived in Brighton Heights, and he came up to the voting booth, and I was like, I was almost seeing something larger than life come up, you know, to the voting booth. Like, I mean, it was a great description of Mr. Rogers, because that's what it was. It was someone seeing out of their, you know, away from the ice ball stand. You know, we all have those experiences with people that are famous, where they're away from where they typically are, and you see them and you're like, wait, is this true? Like, this can't be happening. And so
Next, I would like to bring forth the 61st Mayor of the City of Pittsburgh, the Honorable Mayor Ed Gainey.
Everybody can hear me, right? All right, so I'm off to close. First, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming out. It's an honor for me to be here. You know, Chris, Art, Mike, first, my deepest condolence. Much love to the family. It's hard to replace a legend. It's hard to replace a legend. You know, and I tell people all the time, I know a lot of people that have ice ball stands, popcorn stands, all over the city. But it's really not the product that they serve that makes them. It's the love that they pour out. The one thing that people will tell you about Gus is that when they came here, they felt special. Right. And I think that it takes somebody special in order to make somebody else feel special. And that starts with the love that you have for the people. It starts with the love that you have for your family. And it also starts with the love that we pour out in the community. And one of the things that I always say is I want to make this a welcoming city in America, the most welcoming city in America. And when you take someone like Gus, and you take his personality, his character, his integrity, and seeing that he came here all the time, it didn't matter how he felt. It didn't never matter how he felt. It matters how you felt when you left him. Because at the end of the day, you got more than just a snowball. You got more than just popcorn. You got someone that cared about you, even if he didn't know you. You felt special. You felt special. And I think that speaks volumes beyond business. I think that speaks volumes about the man himself and his parents that raised him. And so I tell people all the time, if we really want to live out the meaning of Gus, the love of Gus, think about how we treat each other. Think about whether we say good morning to people in the morning. Think about if we recognize people, not by judgment, but just by acknowledging them. That's the spirit of Gus. You didn't need a psychiatrist or a counselor. Just come talk to Gus. You come talk to Gus, you're going to feel better when you leave. Think about it. How many people right here today came here feeling some type of way? Got a snowball, got some popcorn, but more importantly, got good conversation that changed the way you see your day. And the ice ball, huh? See that? You hear that over there? Say it again. Come on. You see what I'm saying? And peanuts. Come on. Who else? What else we got? We got else, huh? What else? What else? Popcorn. We had popcorn. Love. Huh? Love. Come on. Give me another adjective. Come on. Come on. Smile. Come on. What else we got? Come on.
Memories.
Sweetness. Come on. Memories. Wow. Integrity. Come on. 2 more. Friendship. Wow. What else? Come on. One more. That's 2 more. The reason why I wanted you to say that is because you just told yourself how he touched your life. You just told yourself how he touched your life. So outside of all the good stuff that he sold, he touched your life. Sometimes it was just a hello and a smile. Didn't have to be no more than hello and a smile. That's who we are as a city. So when I first got the call, they said, we want you to name the park after him. I said, oh gosh, the park. Park. How fitting. I mean, it would be fitting, right? I almost said I'm gonna leave that to Bobby. But when they said they wanted to name the park after him, I said, well, that's a lot right there. That's a lot. But I do believe me and Bobby working together to name the street after him means something. Bobby will introduce it. I will support it. We will name the street, and here's why that's important to me. For all my young people here that's over the age of 50, my young people over the age of 50. I seen Ray here somewhere, so he'll understand this. We don't acknowledge our legends. We don't do anything to really make our legends eternal. We just talk about them and wonder why the next generation don't know them. We've had so many stars come out of these communities that we call our city. And we don't recognize them except in talking about them during different times of the year. And I always believe that we should change that. Our histories can live in a museum, and we have some of the most beautiful museums on the north side. But they should also live in our streets. And I believe that Gus, this street should be named after Gus, so that when young kids was walking and they say, why do they name this street Gus? That adult can teach them something that school's not going to teach them, something they can't learn in the church, but something they can learn in their own community about someone to put millions of smiles on somebody's face every single day so that they felt better about themselves. That's what history is about. That's what we are about. And at the end of the day, this will be Gus Avenue. Thank you.
Mayor, one other thing.
Right.
The prop, please.
We're gonna do some. We're gonna try to do this. It worked yesterday. Gonna hope it worked today. We're gonna try to do some harmony, right? So me and Bobby gonna do it together. Don't laugh at us.
Only a friend.
Only in friendship. And the reason why I called a council person up here to do it with me is because this is his district. And a lot of times when mayors, governors, and others come out, they just want to act like the proclamation is about them to the person. But that's not what Gus was about. he would make sure that everybody played a role. So today, we're gonna try to do some Boys to Men harmony. We just ain't gonna sing a cappella, but we ain't gonna sing. Cause I break windows when I sing. What about you?
Nah.
You can sing? How come on, go ahead.
I'm just trying to look at the words beforehand, so I
Right,
don't
right.
mess up. First time seeing this.
Ready? Honoring a life well lived. Whereas it is with my profound sadness that the city of Pittsburgh mourns the passing of Gus, a beloved and iconic figure who was the heart and soul of Gus and Yaya's ice ball stand on the north side for over 90 years. And
Whereas Gus Kalaris, a native of the North Side, devoted his life to sharing the rich history and vibrant spirit of Pittsburgh's North Side. His iconic ice ball cart, with its distinctive bright orange hue and cheerful umbrella, was a beacon of joy that welcomed generations of Pittsburghers and tourists. And
whereas Gus was honored by the city on numerous occasions, including the destination of April 25th, 2012, as Gus and Yaya Day in the city, the William Kimmel Awards from the Allegheny City Society, and the Northside Leadership Conference Achievement Award in recognition of the lasting impact he had on the city. And now therefore be it resolved that I, Allegheny Mayor of the city, I honor you today. I honor the daughter of the beloved Gus. Let's get a picture with us right here. Thank you. Wow.
Especially both, have a nice day today.
Oh, yeah, we just
Yeah,
see that right there.
right.
That's some rock stuff right there. You got that right. Yeah, it is.
There we go. Yep.
One hand and one over.
Yep.
Let me start getting it.
Suck it in, sir. All right, ready?
We wanna get
We're
one by the-
gonna make the ice balls.
Yeah. Can we get an ice ball holding our hand?
Absolutely.